Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday, it's very, very hot, and I finally got now in my hot, sticky little hands all four of the recent Chanel Les Beiges nail varnish limited editions that was so hard to get on the UK website. I don't think they ever even made any of the boutiques or counters from the inquiries I made, and they sold out really, really quickly on the Chanel website. I managed to get the two central ones from the website literally on the day they were first advertised, or they came onto the website. I know because I was kind of stalking the Chanel website, which just shows, although I think I'm terribly busy, I obviously have more time on my hands than I should have. And then I have finally, with the help of friends, big thanks to Lara, who located Solar, and to Vivian, who located, I keep forgetting the name of this, Glimmer, from different websites. I now have them all because, as you know, I'm moderately obsessive about my Chanel nail polish collection. I will say that I really like all of these shades, so it wasn't a question of just collecting them for their own sake. Now that we've got them all together, although I have shown you the two central ones last week when I took them away with me, we can contrast and compare. I can see why they came out in the Les Beiges collection, which is the kind of more natural, glowy look, rather than kind of cutting edge Chanel makeup range. I like it very much because I like fairly neutral colour schemes. However, I would say the finishes of these polishes are not particularly neutral. Two duochromes, one micro glitter, and what I would describe as a duochrome mixed with micro glitter. And quite a dark shade here, and that's Solar, which was, I think, one of the ones that sold out first. So we can see that there in the bottle, and I think you can see what I mean about the chroming. You can definitely see a slight chrome, more monochrome actually, play there, but also definitely some micro glitter. Now, I'm always a bit conflicted about Chanel and their micro glitter. They do it more and differently to any other range of nail polish, I believe. I certainly haven't come across any other range that puts this in as consistently. I'm not saying glitter doesn't go into other particularly cheaper ranges, but this is micro, so it doesn't have little glitter pieces that kind of stick on the nail and are difficult to remove. That's the good part of it. The slightly disappointing part is that often it's more obvious in the bottle than it is on the nail. So in other words, when you actually paint it on the nail, I think the effect is just to give more of a sheen, a shine, rather than the kind of glittery particles that you can usually see in the bottle. I haven't tried this on the nail, so I don't know yet. But a good example would be this one, the Glimmer shade, which is what is on my nail at the moment, somewhat inexpertly applied. Two coats, no top coat as yet. I will put a top coat on later, and you can see that whilst in the bottle there's a definite micro glitter, you really can't see it on the nail. It just kind of adds to the depth of the shade. Sorry about the state of my hands, I'm always apologising. And then the two very pretty shades in the centre that I have showed before are Golden Sand, which I actually think is probably the most unusual tone and formula of the four, interestingly, having looked through my collection. I haven't worn that yet. It's quite warm. It's definite chrome. Very, very pretty. And this one, which I have worn, slightly rosier, again a chrome. This is called Sunlight. Really, really kind of pink lilac traced chrome. Both those really, really pretty, I think. So as usual, I went trawling through my collection to see if you have any of these, whether you would have similar polishes. The one I had kind of thought of immediately was Solar, which when I saw it advertised, I was pretty sure was going to be very like a release from a few years ago in the summer called Tirana, which I am very fond of, actually. And it just shows how inaccurate photographs and memories are, because here's good old Tirana. And you can see it is definitely a much cooler, more purple toned chrome, much less kind of sunny. So that was not actually remotely like Solar when it arrived. Some of you may remember Opulence, one of my favourites. I'd call this a trio chrome. And you can see much redder, a wonderful autumn shade. I haven't got a backup for this, and I always regret it. Not really, I mean, similar in some lights, but you can see Solar hasn't got the red chrome of Opulence. In the, I was going to say the standard range, but I'm not sure it still is. It was for a while. Is Cavalier, which some of you might have, a much darker brown with a kind of, is that chrome or micro shimmer? Hard to tell. I suspect that would look very different on the nail from Solar. They're in the same ballpark, but not the same at all. So I actually had to go back many, many years to some old favourites to get anything close. Here is number 95, Magnetique. Again, much redder, so much more in the Opulence ballpark. Topaz. Again, redder, number 82. In the end, I thought this was the most similar, number 53, so it's a lot of years ago. Very, very similar, a bit more kind of pearlized rather than the chrome. I don't think they'd got the technology for the chrome back in the day, but I suspect those might look rather similar on the nail. Micro Bolon, number 53, long, long time ago. So yeah, interesting, but definitely Solar, if you can get your hands on it on eBay or whatever. I think it's a lovely summer shade, and sufficiently different from anything else to be worth pursuing. I thought this one, I didn't have anything immediately similar spring to mind. Golden Sand, I picked out a few. Gold Shimmer is a few years ago now. Pretty similar, but again a bit more pink in the bottle. That's a pretty shade. I had thought of this one. This is Trophy, one of my favourites actually. It's an old one. Again, that's looking pinker, but in the same sort of ballpark. And again, a very old one was the kind of closest, I thought. Number 93, Metal Rue. I think given the difference in age and therefore formula, these two are pretty similar. But I don't know how many of you will go back all the way to Metal Rue. So I think this is a fairly novel one. I was even less successful, surprisingly, when I looked for something like Sunlight. I immediately thought of a favourite from a few years ago. Anything in the last 10 years is kind of a few years ago to me, before I looked at them, called Atmosphere. But when I looked at them together, you can see Atmosphere pulling a lot more lilac. You can see how much more watery the formula was, although it's also a question of age, I think, if you've got Atmosphere in your collection. And the other one, again, not too many years ago, is Rose Moiré, which I hadn't thought would be two alike, but actually, side by side, back to back, they're not dissimilar at all. There were two. There was a Rouge and a Rose Moiré. I think it was an autumn release. Two very pretty polishes, and that's quite similar. So if you had that, and I know it was a popular one, you might be able to give sunlight in this. And then when it came to glimmer, I've got so many trays of nudish polishes, but not so many with the micro glitter. I immediately thought of an oldie and goodie called Delice. See, nearly used up. Very micro glittery and somewhat more yellowy and more glittery, actually. But I suspect they probably, I think this one will be more opaque. This is actually more opaque on the nail than I expected it to be. You know, not really looking like a micro glitter, more like a kind of more matte polish on the nail. And then I think this one is quite similar. This is Les Beiges. So a more mid-toned neutral, but you can see looking very similar to how it is on the nail. I think those look very, very similar. And another one, well used, Legend. This is a beautiful polish. Lot more glittery, but you can see a bit kind of more yellow toned. I love Legend. Might wear that again when I take this off, or I might put a coat on top, actually. So there I go with a few from my endless trove to compare with. I also managed to get from the French website that Lara Martin managed to source solar on, one that I'd missed earlier this year or end of last year, I think, called Interdit. I mean, this is right up my street because I love the ox bloods. Not at this time of year, well, at any time of year, to be honest, but I wear them more in the winter and autumn. This is a gorgeous red. I have trays and trays and trays of Chanel reds, including the ox bloods. It's obviously a lot lighter than my beloved Rouge Noir. I will pull out what that's similar to when I get a moment. There's one that's kind of playing in the back of my mind that I think it's similar to, but I've forgotten the name for the time being. But I don't know if any of you managed to get Interdit. Again, it seemed to have the most limited release. It kind of just popped up on the website, but you couldn't actually buy it. It was already sold out. So there we go with my Sunday nail joint. And I will be speaking to you again soon. Until then, keep well. If you've got to the end, a tick is really welcome, or a follow. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.